Now at 167 horsepower, these were the quickest hatches of their time. And by modern standards, they're just so slow. Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and today I am showing you my new car. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to keep up the suspense and everything. It is a Peugeot 306 GTI. So in the end, I went through that whole comparison with the Accord and stuff, and I really did like the Accord a lot, but I judged I think the main stumbling block with the Accord was just that the steering wasn't really as good as the 306. If you're talking about a sort of a logical decision, the Accord would have been a much more logical decision. You know, better built, longer lasting, less quirks. But in the end, the French flair got me, and these cars are just so unbelievable. I'm going to tell you all about that, and this car in particular as well, about the history and the things that need to be done. But just before I tell you about this one, why did I get a 306 GTI? And it's just because they are absolutely, blindingly, amazingly good. They really are, as drivers' cars on my local roads. These roads tend to be narrow, bumpy, and there is just nothing else which is of this sort of price range and as usable, which handles in the same way. I don't know what Peugeot were doing back in the 90s, but oh my God, it is just incredible. It's just a sort of the compromise between damping and springing and the chassis. It just works so incredibly well. There's nothing quite like it. It really is just fabulous. Anyway, a little bit about this car more generally. So this is a GTI 6, so it's the latest sort of evolution. It should have 167 horsepower. And this particular car, although it's good because it has low mileage, so 70,000 miles, it was with one owner, I think, from between 2002 to 2017, came with a new exhaust which are yet to fit, a new radiator, but it does have a few issues. We'll stop and we'll have a look around it. I'll tell you about a few of those, but before that, driving wise, when I got it, the clutch was unbelievably horrible, sticky and juddery. Now it's had a new clutch in 2018, so it's not the clutch itself. There is a little sort of spring on these which tends to make the action worse, so I removed that and it was a bit better, but still not good. I lubed the cable a little bit as much as I could from below the pedal box, and that has helped, so I think the cable is the issue. It is pretty good now, but I like to sort of lubricate it properly. Not sure how easy it's going to be to get access, but we'll see about that. The other thing is that it was pulling to the left when braking hard, and to some extent, let me just try it now. Actually, it didn't do it then. Odd, but I think it still does it occasionally. I think it depends how quickly you stomp on the pedal. Anyway, I took the brakes, the calipers apart. I found the lower pins, the sliding pins were seized, so I took those out, lubricated them, sorted that out. That's definitely improved it or solved it, as you saw there. The other thing is it has a vibration at speed, which isn't tyre related because it just comes and goes. So depending on what the car is doing, it comes in at around sort of 60, 65, 70, but it can be there or go away just depending on, I don't know on what, but it's not consistent vibration, so it's not tyres or wheels. I suspect maybe one of the front bushers, which could also explain why it pulls slightly to the side, or seems to still pull slightly to the side at times. Let's give it a quick pull through the gears. Now at 167 horsepower, these were the quickest hatches of their time. And by modern standards, they're just so slow. Now this one feels to me like it's lacking a little bit, not much, few horsepower compared to the red one that I drove a few weeks ago belonging to my friend James. Could be all sorts of reasons for that. Could also be the exhaust needs changing anyway, all sorts of things. It could be just that his sounded a bit better, so that could make it feel quicker. But it definitely is quite healthy. It had a full sort of belt change and the ancillaries at Peugeot off. Only I think two or 3 years ago, but it's done 500 miles since then. And it drives beautifully. One of the things that they do annoy me about these is the driving position. The wheel needs to be closer, so as you can see, I've sort of had to push this close up to get a good reach to the wheel. If anybody knows of a solution for this, please let me know. Aftermarket wheel, I suppose, but this has an airbag, so there's a few complications. I'd actually like to move this original wheel out a bit further if possible, but that's going to be quite tricky. Anyway, if anyone knows, that would be great. The gear change on this as well, I've driven others and this is slightly notchier. It might just be that the gearbox need an oil change and just going through the sort of mechanism there. There's a little bit of play, hopefully you can see on the other camera, but it's not much. So I don't think the mechanism is that worn or anything. Maybe it just needs lubricating. One thing is, I don't know if you can hear it through the main microphone. I'll switch to this one and you should be able to hear it. There's a little rattle, an annoying rattle. Comes from just under the gear stick, and if you pull the gear stick back or move it forward, it goes away. So I think there's a nut or a washer or something attached to the gear link mechanism which is causing that, but it really is annoying. High-pitched buzzing sound. Underneath, I've had a look, it looks really quite clean, but the rear beam, the shocks, the suspension bits are pretty crusty and I want to sort that out. Problem is, the shocks on these, the original shocks, are so good that I am worried, because you can get OEM now, but they're not the same shocks. They're made by Monroe, not by Peugeot themselves, and they're twin tube, I think. They're just not as good as the originals. So really, the choice is to go with B4s, but if anyone has them on their car, can you tell me, are they as good as the original as an overall compromise? Because I want this to be exactly like the original cars, because they are so good as standard. I do not want to do anything else to it. This is going to be my daily. I don't need it to go faster. I don't need it to be stiffer. Absolutely don't need it to be stiffer. The steering on these is so well judged as well. Great feel. Let's stop. I'm going to just pull over here and we'll have a look at it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on outside, and we'll have a look at the engine bay and all that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so let's have a look around it. Now it is a good car. Look at them, they do look. I think the other reason why I wanted this is just that for a hatch from the 2000s, it has just aged so well. Now this is the colour that I wanted. I think I also like blaze yellow actually quite a lot, and that is because that's what I saw when I was a teenager and stuff. The adverts with those, I thought they looked great. The cyclones that came with the GTI 6 I think suit this car perfectly. So how does it look? Body wise is pretty good. It's got a few little nicks, scratches, things like that, but crucially, like so many of these, there is lacquer peel on the roof. So I am already talking to a local paint shop in Whitney, KC Auto Colours, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to get this car completely repainted. I'm going to do a bit of the work taking the stuff off to reduce the price a little bit, and then we'll get it all redone, and it should be nice and minty and new. Now in the engine bay, now it's looking a bit grimy. This cover I've already had a go at cleaning up myself. Doesn't look great, but it looks a lot better than it did before. It's quite hard to clean. I think it's aluminium and it's all pitted, so it's quite difficult to get into the nooks and crannies. The belts, I might have mentioned, they were done recently a couple of years ago, but it's done absolutely no mileage as well. Now the radiator isn't leaking, but as you can see, it is definitely past its best, and I do have a replacement. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good, really. So there is one thing I have to ask you. What am I going to call this car? Because I've always given my French cars names. So please, suggestions in the comments will be much appreciated for this one. I haven't really thought about it. Sarge, maybe? No, I don't think that quite worked. No. Anyway, just come up with comments. Also, forgot to mention seat bolster, which always goes on all these. It's gone on this one as well. Needs sorting as well as the seat pad base. So I need to find a good upholsterer that is happy to do this kind of work and isn't going to make me wait months and months. The other thing is that Pepe Jr. 106, my 106 Rally is still for sale. A really good car, but I think the market is on a bit of a downturn. I originally advertised him for 8.5, now down to 8. But I am flexible on price, so please, there is an advert on eBay if you want to get in touch with me about that. But that car kind of needs to go at some point soon, ideally. So that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really look forward to seeing you for the next video. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because it really helps. And I look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you so much.